Hi guys, welcome to my living room. I don't really have anywhere else to film. Ow! I don't really have anywhere else to film, so this is kind of the setup we have going on. Hope you love it. So as you can see from the title of this video, I got accepted into the DCP. It is not for the fall of 25, but it's for the summer alumni. So in order to do the summer alumni, of course, you have to be an alumni of the program, which means you already did one of the semester programs before. And as we all know, I did the DCP in the spring of 24, so this time last year. And I loved it. It was the best time of my life. I wish I vlogged it more, but I didn't. So I'm hoping to vlog more this summer. I went through the interview process and decided I would put out what the interview questions are. They are pretty similar to what was asked for the spring of 25. So I figured these questions will stick around for a little while. And even if they don't, it's good advice for any of the college program interviews because they kind of stick around this same area of things. Now, I do have another video posted on my channel of the last time I did a phone interview, and it has different questions in that interview. So if you're interested in hearing more potential questions that may be asked, then go check out that video. I would love to put just the direct phone interview, post it to YouTube and show you guys what happened, but recording of the interview isn't allowed. So instead I typed it up on my phone. I have them ready for you. I can kind of give you an idea of what I put on my, or I said on my answers. A slight disclaimer that I'm not going to give my full answers that I said during my interview, just because a lot of the questions are kind of more related to my experience there. This is like honing in on those questions that were asked of me. It wasn't the best interview of my life. I definitely got off the phone. It's hard to tell with these interviews because they have that Disney happy. And if you don't know what that means, it's pretty much like, yeah, so like what role are you expecting? Oh, I love that answer. Like it's very jolly, as you're supposed to be for the Disney anything. And so it's hard to tell. Like you get off the phone and you're like, wow, that felt good. But then it's like, were they just being nice? And my answers weren't the best. I wasn't as prepared as I was for the first interview, and I kind of found it harder to answer these. However, I got in. I am still going to apply for some professional internships for marketing stuff because I would love to do some professional internship there and potentially be offered a job in the future. But we'll see when those come out, if there's any marketing ones or any that can pertain to me. And when they do come out, if I get an interview and I get accepted, or you know, whatever the case is, I might make a video on that later as well. Since the summer alumni is only 3 months compared to the usual 4 to 8 months, everything is on a bit of a quicker turnaround. The applications are only open for about 2 weeks. So I'm going to kind of give the timeline of how it was for me and when I got my information about it, which could be useful for people that apply for a summer alumni in the future. It may not be as useful for people that are applying for fall or spring, but it still kind of is a good look. And again, I do have another video from when I applied to the fall of 24, which would give you a more accurate timeline in terms of one of the semester programs. I do think I was one of the earlier phone interviews. Like I think I was at the very beginning of the process. Applications open on January 6th around like 7 to 10 a.m. I think. I don't really know the exact time that they opened. I applied anywhere from 12 to 12:30 that day. And the next day at 9:45, I got an email about scheduling a phone interview. I scheduled my phone interview for that Friday, January 10th at 10:15. 10:15, I took my phone interview and was told that it's probably going to be this next week that I hear an answer back because it's just a really quick turnaround because you know, the summer's right around the corner. 5 days later, I got my acceptance at 10:45 on the 15th. I'll move in on May 19th, and then I'll move out on August 7th, I believe. So it's a very, very like boom, 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 boom. I'll get my role late April and my lease late April, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's about 4 weeks out that you get your lease and your role. Like a week before your first day of move-in is when you get your exact location. When I worked in Tomorrowland, I was told 4 weeks in advance that I was in Tomorrowland attractions, but I didn't know until like 2 days before I moved in that I was actually at Actually, originally I was at Rocket Tower, and then later on I got switched to Speedway, but I didn't find out till right there before I moved in. If I could offer any advice, I would really say hone in on like happiness and confidence. That's really good for any interview, but especially Disney because it's just, you're supposed to be making magic. If you kind of are rude, maybe a little cold. It doesn't really give that Disney look. They'll say, hi, I'm with the Disney College Program, whatever it may be. Am I speaking to Caitlin McKeegan? Yeah, you are. How's your day been? Blah, blah, and then they'll get on with the phone interview. As I said previously, my phone interview was at 10:15 in the morning. Your phone interview can start anywhere from 15 minutes before your scheduled time or 15 minutes after. To be exact, she called me at 10:14. So mine started a minute before the scheduled time, and it can last anywhere from 15 minutes, and I've heard even people having their interviews go all the way up to like 45 minutes. Mine lasted 20 minutes. I think that's the perfect amount of time for them to figure out what they need, but sometimes you get a chatty recruiter and sometimes you get a not so chatty recruiter. Start off, she just said hello, made a confirmation that I am indeed Caitlin McKeegan and that is who she is speaking to. And then she asked me why I wanted to do the program. Since I've already been, it was kind of easier for me to answer that. I loved my last program, so I said exactly that. I just said that I really broke out of my shell my last program. I learned a lot, I met a lot of amazing people, and it's a great opportunity. I even said, after the experience I had last time, why would I not want to go back and make magic for people and learn again and just have this great experience? So I really honed in on my previous experience of the program and then saying how much more this could offer me again, because it will. She asked if I lived at Flamingo Crossings, and I said I did, and she asked how my experience was there. I said I loved it because I did. I really liked the community experience of it. Maintenance was always very nice to me. I had an overall good experience. Not everybody does, but I did. Also, kind of branching off of the topic of Flamingo and living at Flamingo, she asked how I handled conflict with my roommates when I was there. Luckily, I was blessed when I was there. I had really great roommates, so shout out Mara, Danny, and Megan. I never fought with them. I really did have a good time, but I said in the past, in my college experience, I did have a not so great experience with a girl. It just didn't work out. We weren't compatible, and so I told her about my experience with how I handled that and the answers I replied with. I told her everybody comes from a different place. Everybody kind of functions differently, and that's something to keep in mind, and it's important to understand. To just handle every situation with kindness and kind of, you know, grace. Give the other person grace. Confrontation is great, but handle it in a mature fashion. You don't have to be aggressive. You don't have to be hostile. Really, it could just be a misunderstanding if you go and talk to the other person. Now, of course, that's not always going to be the case. Sometimes you're just not going to be able to work things out with another person. And that's when you would go to Flamingo. That's when you go to a RA and kind of have them mediate or talk to them about the issues, and maybe you just need to be re-roomed. The experience that I had in college is kind of what I used to answer that question. She followed asking about my experience at Flamingo by asking about my experience at Disney and working for Disney in my location. As I mentioned earlier, I told her that I loved it. That Speedway is seen as a not so glamorous job because of the sound, the smell, the place, being outside, everything. And I told her I had a great time. Because once again, I did. I met a lot of great people. I had a lot of fun. It was a laid back role. And by laid back, I mean as laid back as an attraction can be, because we're not on a big roller track, because we're not an omni mover. We don't need cameras, and we're an outdoor attraction. We were. I guess I don't work there anymore, but I was an outdoor attraction. So instead we had, you know, a little bit of a different setup, and it was a lot easier. But while being laid back, you still had to remain vigilant and remember all your duties, because at the end of the day, you are working in attraction and you're working in a park where you need to make sure all your guests are happy and safe. Next, she asked how my peers would describe me, and I wasn't too sure how to answer this because I've never asked my peers. But at the end of my program, I did have a little autograph book. This is very common on college programs to do like a little autograph book where people can leave you little notes of just like going away notes pretty much. And a lot of the notes I got from full-time cast members, from part-time, from other CPs were just how quickly I learned, how determined I was and kind and all that. So I just told her, you know, trying to remember that in the moment after being caught off guard with that question, I just told her that I think my peers would describe me as determined, really eager to learn and quick to adapt. And then I also told her I'm a bit of a people pleaser, so I always wanted to try my best. That way people saw the best side of me. Then I was asked, would I like to go back to the same role in the same location? I said, absolutely. I would love to do attractions again. That would be my top preference, is to work another roller coaster. But I don't want to go back to Speedway. She asked why, and I said, it's going to be the dead of summer. I love Speedway, but it gets hot, and I work there in May, so I know it gets hot. And then I told her I would really like to experience an e-ticket attraction, an actual roller coaster, Tron, Cosmic Rewind, Rock and Roller Coaster. But then I said I recognize that those are a bit harder attractions to get into, especially as a CP. Now I will have a little bit of kind of an advantage because I've done the CP before, and going into your second CP, you get a few more privileges that you don't get on your first. By that, I mean on your first program in Tomorrowland, you can't work at Space Mountain. You can't work at Tron. But on your second program, you can. So that's kind of what I mean by the advantage. What did I do to make safety a priority was her next question. And I said remaining vigilant, especially in attractions. This is so important because if somebody goes the wrong way, especially at Speedway where there's not a lot of railing. If you've been to Disney, if you've rode Speedway, you can go a lot of places that you probably shouldn't go, and guests did like to do that. So I told her just staying vigilant. If you're horseplaying with friends, if you're joking around, looking around, keeping your eyes off the guest, something can happen with a kid or an adult, and it's going to kind of be on you. So staying vigilant was a big factor. This question really caught me off guard because I wasn't prepared to answer it, but she asked me my favorite magical moment that I made or that, saw or whatever. Now this is where I kind of switched to asking about some other roles. I was asked if I was comfortable working with cleaning products. I said yes. If I'm okay being in the heat and being on my feet still, I said yes. If I'm comfortable working with food, I said it wouldn't be my top preference because I don't want to be in custodial, I don't want to be in custodial either, but I don't want to be in quick service. I told her it wouldn't be my top preference, but with any type of training, I'd be comfortable. I checked yes for lifeguard, so she was verifying if that is still true. I said yes. And then she asked me if I was comfortable swimming 50 yards with 10 pounds and if she thinks I could physically do it. I'm a pretty athletic person, and I even said that. I just have never swam 50 yards with a 10-pound dummy. I actually told her, I said, I want to say yes, but I don't want to say yes and that not be true. Which all that would happen if I got selected to be a lifeguard and then couldn't do that is they would transfer my role. I'm sorry. Before she asked me if I was comfortable swimming 50 yards with 10 pounds, she asked me what my previous swimming experience was. I said, I have no lifeguard experience whatsoever. I've been swimming probably since I was like 2, 3, I don't know, as long as my parents have taken me to the pool. I go to the beach. I'm always at the pool in the summer. Not always. That's a lie. I love to swim, was the general gist of it all, but I have never had lifeguard experience. Would I be comfortable being trained to transport guests in a tram? I said yes. Am I okay with pushing heavy carts, either for merch or food and beverage? I said yes. Now this question didn't take me off guard. I just had a hard time answering it. She asked that if a guest came in, let's say I was working merchandise at Hollywood Studios, a guest came in saying, hey, we were at Magic Kingdom, we saw this piece of merchandise, and we figured you guys would have it here and we would get it today, but I don't see it. Do you know where I can find it? What would I do? I said that I'm sure Disney has some type of system where you can cross-check different stores for a piece of merch. So I said I would try to go through that and do that process. Of course I said this a little more in depth, but I said if that didn't work, then I could offer up other options that are very similar to that. And then if they aren't interested in those options, I could even maybe call a coordinator over or leader to see if they had any solutions to their problem. What level of memorization am I comfortable with? I said any level is okay with me. We did a short spiel at Speedway that I was totally fine with. Push down to go, lift your foot up to stop, no bumping was our motto there. And then I also said I was in theater, so I was totally used to memorizing entire scripts and, pages of lines. So I'm totally okay with any level. And finally, she asked if I'm able to perform all the essential functions of these roles without any type of accommodation. And yes. So that portion of the interview finished, and she asked if I had any questions. I like to kind of ask my recruiter a couple questions that are personal to them. That way you can kind of build up a morale and a bond to maybe make yourself stand out a little more. That's another tip to maybe use. So I asked her how she got started with Disney and how she got to where she was. She actually started at merchandise on her program and then did an internship, and using those internship connections got this professional job in recruiting. That was the interview. Very quick. A quick 20 minutes that felt like they lasted forever. The summer alumni is highly competitive, so I felt like that added a little more stress to me. But that was the entire interview process. I wish you luck in your endeavors and applying to the program. And if you have any questions whatsoever, leave them down below. I am a Disney College Program rep, so I may be actually able to help you with some more personal questions. And if not, you can always go to support.disneyprograms.com and they will be able to answer your questions if you email them a very, if your question's not on the general forum, you can email them a more specific one. I will see you very soon with either a professional internship video if that comes out and something is working out for me, or I will see you in the next video, I guess.